When Romania entered World War II on the Axis side in June 1941, joining Germany's invasion of the Soviet Union, the Romanian Air Force, known as the Forțele Aeriene Regale, României, or Royal Romanian Air Force, possessed a fascinating mixture of indigenous designs, foreign aircraft from multiple nations, and a cadre of skilled pilots ready to prove themselves in combat. Romania's strategic position in southeastern Europe, its valuable oil fields at Ploiești that fueled much of the German war machine, and its border with the Soviet Union made Romanian air power crucial to Axis operations in the Eastern Theater. The Romanian Air Force's participation in World War II spanned from the initial invasion of the Soviet Union through brutal campaigns on the Eastern Front, defensive battles against massive Allied bombing raids, and ultimately a dramatic reversal when Romania switched sides in August 1944 to fight against its former German allies. Throughout this period, Romanian pilots flew an extraordinary variety of aircraft, from indigenous designs that showcased Romanian engineering ambition to German fighters and bombers that represented the cutting edge of aviation technology, from captured Soviet aircraft pressed into service to British and American planes received after joining the Allies. The story of Romanian aircraft during World War II reveals how a medium-sized nation with limited industrial capacity built and sustained air power during history's most devastating conflict. Romanian engineers designed innovative aircraft despite resource constraints. Romanian pilots achieved remarkable success flying both obsolete and modern machines, and Romanian ground crews maintained diverse fleets under impossible conditions. From the indigenous IAR-80 fighters that defended Romanian skies to the German Messerschmitt Bf-109s that equipped elite squadrons, from the Italian bombers that struck Soviet targets to the Soviet aircraft captured and turned against their creators, Romanian aviation participated in some of the war's most intense air battles. This comprehensive examination explores every aircraft type that served in Romanian colors during World War II, revealing the origins, capabilities, and combat records of the machines that carried Romanian airmen into battle from 1941 to 1945. The IAR-80 fighter represented Romania's greatest aviation achievement of World War II, and one of the most successful indigenous fighter designs produced by any minor power during the conflict. Designed by Romanian engineer Ion Grosu and developed by Industria Aeronautica Română at Brașov, the IAR-80 was a modern monoplane fighter that could compete with many contemporary designs from major powers. Development began in the late 1930s as Romania sought to reduce dependence on foreign aircraft suppliers and create a fighter specifically suited to Romanian requirements. The first prototype flew in 1939, and after successful testing, the type entered production in 1941. The IAR-80 was powered by a Romanian-built IAR-14K radial engine, producing 930 horsepower, a license-built version of the French Gnome 14K. This air-cooled radial engine gave the aircraft a maximum speed of approximately 510 kilometers per hour at optimal altitude, competitive with early warfighters, though below the performance of the latest German and Soviet designs. The aircraft's service ceiling was approximately 10,500 meters, and its range was about 900 kilometers, adequate for defensive operations over Romania and offensive missions into Soviet territory. The IAR-80's armament evolved through several variants. Early models were armed with four 7.92 mm FN Browning machine guns, two mounted in the fuselage firing through the propeller arc and two in the wings. Later variants, designated IAR-80A, added two more wing-mounted machine guns for a total of six, significantly improving firepower. Some aircraft were modified to carry underwing bombs, typically two 50-kilogram bombs, providing limited ground attack capability. The most heavily armed variant, the IAR-81, which we will discuss separately, added dive bombing capability. The IAR-80's all-metal stressed skin construction represented modern design practice, and the aircraft featured retractable landing gear, an enclosed cockpit, and armor protection for the pilot. The fighter's handling characteristics were generally good, with pilots praising its maneuverability, though it lacked the raw speed and climb rate of the latest German fighters. Romanian production of the IAR-80 totaled approximately 250 aircraft in various sub-variants, a respectable number for a nation of Romania's industrial capacity. These fighters equipped several Romanian fighter squadrons and became the primary domestically produced fighter defending Romanian airspace. When Romania entered the war in June 1941, IAR-80 fighters immediately saw combat over Bessarabia and Odessa, engaging Soviet aircraft in air-to-air combat. Romanian pilots flying IAR-80s achieved numerous victories against Soviet fighters and bombers, demonstrating the aircraft's combat effectiveness. The radial engine proved reliable and could absorb significant battle damage while continuing to function, a crucial characteristic for a fighter operating on the brutal Eastern Front. As the war progressed, IAR-80s defended Romanian airspace against Soviet air raids and later against the massive American bombing campaign targeting Ploiești oil fields. Romanian IAR-80 pilots engaged American B-24 Liberator bombers and their P-38 Lightning escorts during the devastating raids of 1943 and 1944. Despite being outclassed by American fighters in speed and firepower, Romanian pilots flying IAR-80s achieved some successes through determination and tactical skill, though losses were heavy. The IAR-80's greatest limitation was that it represented essentially a 1938-1939 generation design, attempting to compete against 1943-1944 generation aircraft. While the IAR-80 could hold its own against early Soviet fighters like the I-16 and LA-GG-3, it struggled against later aircraft like the Yak-9 and LA-5. Against American P-51 Mustangs and P-38 Lightnings, the performance gap was even more pronounced. Despite these limitations, the IAR-80 remained in frontline service throughout Romania's participation in the war, fighting with determination against overwhelming odds. After Romania switched sides in August 1944, IAR-80s continued flying, now against German aircraft. Romanian pilots who had fought Soviets now engaged Luftwaffe aircraft, an ironic reversal that demonstrated the war's complexity. The IAR-80 represented Romanian engineering achievement and national pride, proof that Romania could design and produce modern combat aircraft despite industrial limitations. Today, no complete IAR-80 survives, though some components and wreckage exist in museums, silent testimony to Romania's most successful indigenous fighter design. IAR-81. The IAR-81 was a dive bomber variant of the IAR-80 fighter, modified for ground attack and close air support missions. The conversion involved strengthening the airframe to withstand the stresses of dive bombing, adding bomb racks capable of carrying a 225-kilogram bomb under the fuselage and two 50-kilogram bombs under the wings, and installing dive brakes to control speed during bombing dives. The IAR-81 retained the IAR-80's basic performance characteristics, though the additional equipment and strengthening slightly reduced maximum speed and maneuverability. The 6 machine gun armament was retained, allowing the IAR-81 to engage both ground and air targets. Romanian production of the IAR-81 totaled approximately 100 aircraft, supplementing the fighter variants. These aircraft equipped ground attack squadrons, supporting Romanian forces on the Eastern Front. IAR-81 pilots conducted dive bombing attacks against Soviet positions, troop concentrations, armor, and fortifications. The aircraft proved effective in this role, combining reasonable accuracy with the ability to defend itself against enemy fighters, unlike dedicated bombers. However, ground attack missions exposed IAR-81s to intense anti-aircraft fire, and losses mounted as Soviet air defenses improved. Romanian IAR-81 squadrons operated throughout the Eastern Front campaigns, from Ukraine to the Caucasus and during the defensive battles as Soviet forces advanced toward Romania. After switching sides, IAR-81s attacked German positions, contributing to Allied ground operations. Fighters, German aircraft. Messerschmitt Bf-109E. Germany supplied Romania with Messerschmitt Bf-109E, Emil fighters in the early war years, providing Romanian pilots with access to one of the world's most formidable fighters. The Bf-109E had been Germany's primary fighter during the Battle of Britain and remained a capable aircraft even as it was being supplanted by later variants. Romania received approximately 70 Bf-109E3 and E4 variants between 1940 and 1942, significantly boosting Romanian fighter capability. The Bf-109E was powered by a Daimler-Benz DB601A inline engine, producing approximately 175 horsepower, giving the aircraft a maximum speed of about 570 kilometers per hour, substantially faster than the IAR-80. The fighter's armament consisted of two 7.2 mm MG-17 machine guns above the engine and two 20 mm MG-FF cannons in the wings for the E-3, while the E-4 featured improved MG-FF-M cannons. This combination of machine guns and cannons provided both high rate of fire for ranging and destructive power for kills. Romanian pilots underwent training to master the Bf-109E, a more demanding aircraft than Romanian-designed fighters. The narrow-track landing gear required careful handling during takeoffs and landings, and the aircraft's higher performance demanded more precise flying. However, Romanian pilots adapted quickly, and squadrons equipped with Bf-109Es achieved considerable success. Romanian Bf-109Es saw combat on the Eastern Front, engaging Soviet fighters and bombers with good results. The superior performance compared to most Soviet fighters gave Romanian pilots equipped with these aircraft a significant advantage in air combat. However, the Bf-109E's complexity meant maintenance was more challenging than for IAR fighters, and spare parts were sometimes difficult to obtain. By 1943, the Bf-109E was becoming obsolete even by Eastern Front standards, and most Romanian examples were withdrawn from frontline service or lost to combat and accidents. The experience gained operating these sophisticated German fighters prepared Romanian pilots for later equipment. Messerschmitt Bf-109G. The Messerschmitt Bf-109G. Gustav represented the most capable fighter aircraft in Romanian service during most of the war. Germany supplied Romania with approximately 70 Bf-109G2, G4, and G6 variants between 1943 and 1944, equipping elite Romanian fighter squadrons with aircraft competitive with anything the Allies could field. The Bf-109G was powered by a Daimler-Benz DB605A engine, producing 1,475 horsepower with emergency boost, significantly more powerful than earlier models. Maximum speed was approximately 660 kilometers per hour for the G2 and G4, making it one of the fastest fighters available to Romania. The G6 variant, which Romania received in greatest numbers, featured enhanced armament with two 13mm MG-131 machine guns, replacing the earlier 7.92mm weapons, and one 20mm MG-151-20 cannon firing through the propeller hub. Some G6s were equipped with underwing gondola-mounted 20mm cannons for bomber interception, creating heavily armed but less maneuverable fighters. Romanian Bf-109G squadrons defended Romanian airspace against the massive American bombing campaign of 1943 and 1944. Romanian pilots flying these fighters engaged B-24 Liberator and B-17 Flying Fortress bombers, attacking Ploiești oil fields, fighting desperate battles against overwhelming numbers. The heavily armed G6 variants with underwing cannons proved particularly effective against bombers, their concentrated firepower capable of destroying four-engine bombers with brief bursts. However, American P-38 Lightning and later P-51 Mustang escorts proved formidable opponents, and Romanian losses mounted despite the Bf-109G's capabilities. Romanian Bf-109G pilots achieved considerable success, with several aces scoring multiple victories. The most successful Romanian fighter ace, Captain Constantin Cantacuzino, flew Bf-109Gs and achieved over 40 confirmed victories. Romanian pilots demonstrated that skill and determination could offset numerical disadvantages, achieving remarkable kill ratios despite being vastly outnumbered. When Romania switched sides in August 1944, surviving Bf-109Gs were turned against their former German allies. Romanian pilots who had defended against American bombers now flew alongside Soviet forces, engaging Luftwaffe aircraft in combat. This ironic reversal demonstrated the war's complexity and Romania's desperate position. After the war, surviving Romanian Bf-109Gs were scrapped or turned over to Soviet forces, ending the service of Romania's most capable fighters. Messerschmitt Bf-110. Romania operated a small number of Messerschmitt Bf-110 twin-engine heavy fighters, though exact numbers remain uncertain, possibly 10 to 20 aircraft. The Bf-110, originally designed as a long-range escort fighter and destroyer, had proven vulnerable as a day fighter but found success in ground attack and night fighter roles. Romania received primarily Bf-110G variants in 1943 and 1944. Powered by two Daimler-Benz DB605B engines, each producing 475 horsepower, the Bf-110G could reach maximum speeds of approximately 595 kilometers per hour, despite weighing over 7 tons empty. The heavy forward armament, typically two 20mm MG 151R20 cannons and four 7.92mm MG-17 machine guns in the nose, provided devastating firepower against bombers. Romanian Bf-110s served primarily as bomber-destroyers, attacking American heavy bomber formations with their concentrated nose armament. The twin engines provided good survivability against defensive fire, as one engine could sustain flight even if the other was damaged. However, the Bf-110's size and lack of maneuverability made it vulnerable to American fighter escorts, and losses were significant. Some Romanian Bf-110s may have been adapted for night fighting, defending against nocturnal raids, though Romania's limited radar capability restricted effectiveness. After Romania switched sides, surviving Bf-110s saw limited service before being withdrawn due to maintenance difficulties. Heinkel He-112. Before receiving Bf-109s, Romania operated several Heinkel He-112 fighters, aircraft that competed unsuccessfully against the Bf-109 for Luftwaffe contracts, but found success in export markets. Romania acquired approximately 24 He-112B fighters in 1939, providing a modern fighter capability before Bf-109s became available. The He-112B was powered by a Junkers Jumo 210 engine, producing 700 horsepower, giving it a maximum speed of about 510 kilometers per hour, similar to the IAR-80. Armed with two 20mm cannons and two 7.92mm machine guns, the He-112 packed reasonable firepower. Romanian He-112s saw limited combat service in the early war period before being relegated to training duties as more capable fighters became available. The aircraft's brief frontline career made minimal impact, but it provided Romanian pilots with experience on modern German fighters. Fighters. Captured Soviet aircraft. Polikarpov Ir-16. Romanian forces captured numerous Soviet Polikarpov Ir-16 fighters during the initial advance into the Soviet Union in 1941. The I-16, though designed in the early 1930s, remained the Soviet Union's most numerous fighter in 1941. This stubby monoplane was powered by various radial engines producing 700 to 100 horsepower, depending on variant, giving maximum speeds of 450 to 525 kilometers per hour. Armed with 2 to 4 machine guns or a mix of machine guns and cannons, the I-16 was maneuverable but obsolescent. Romanian forces pressed captured I-16s into service for training and secondary roles, as the aircraft's performance was inferior to Romanian and German fighters. However, captured examples provided useful training platforms and allowed Romanian pilots to familiarize themselves with Soviet aircraft characteristics. Yakovlev Yak-1 and Yak-7. Romanian forces captured small numbers of Soviet Yakovlev Yak-1 and Yak-7 fighters, modern aircraft that represented significant improvements over earlier Soviet designs. These fighters, powered by Klimov inline engines producing approximately 100 to 260 horsepower, could reach speeds of 550 to 600 kilometers per hour. Armed with one 20mm cannon and 1 or 2 machine guns, they provided reasonable firepower. Romanian use of captured Yak fighters was limited, as maintaining sophisticated aircraft without spare parts and technical documentation proved difficult. Most captured examples were evaluated and then either used briefly before becoming inoperable or turned over to German forces. Bombers, light and medium. IAR-37. The IAR-37 was a Romanian-designed reconnaissance and light bomber aircraft that equipped several squadrons during the early war period. Designed in the mid-1930s, the IAR-37 was a single-engine biplane representing older design philosophy, but remained serviceable for secondary roles. Powered by a Gnome-Rhone radial engine, producing approximately 600 horsepower, the IAR-37 could reach maximum speeds around 300 kilometers per hour, slow even by early war standards. Armed with 2 or 3 machine guns and capable of carrying about 300 kilograms of bombs, the IAR-37 had limited offensive capability. Romanian IAR-37s conducted reconnaissance missions over Soviet territory during the early invasion, providing aerial photography and visual intelligence. Some aircraft conducted light bombing missions against Soviet positions, though their slow speed and minimal bomb load limited effectiveness. By 1942, most IAR-37s had been withdrawn from frontline service and relegated to training duties, replaced by more capable aircraft. IAR-38 and IAR-39. The IAR-38 and IAR-39 were improved versions of the IAR-37, featuring more powerful engines and better performance. These Romanian-designed light bombers saw limited production and service, equipping a few squadrons in the early war period. Performance remained modest, with maximum speeds around 350 to 380 kilometers per hour and bomb loads similar to the IAR-37. Romanian IAR-38 and IAR-39s conducted reconnaissance and light bombing missions during 1941 and 1942 before being withdrawn as more modern aircraft became available. Potez 63. France had supplied Romania with Potez 63 11 reconnaissance bombers before the war, twin-engine aircraft designed for tactical reconnaissance and light bombing. Powered by 2 Nomron 14M radial engines, each producing 700 horsepower, the Potez 63.11 could reach maximum speeds of approximately 425 kilometers per hour. Armed with defensive machine guns and capable of carrying several hundred kilograms of bombs, the Potez served primarily in reconnaissance roles. Romanian Potez aircraft conducted photographic reconnaissance missions over Soviet territory during the invasion, providing valuable intelligence. However, the French origin created maintenance challenges as spare parts became scarce, and most were withdrawn from service by 1943. Savoia Marchetti SM-79. Italy supplied Romania with Savoia Marchetti SM-79 Sparviero medium bombers, distinctive 3-engine aircraft that served as Italy's most important bomber. Romania received approximately 24 to 36 SM-79 bombers in various batches. Powered by 3 Alfa Romeo 126 radial engines, each producing 750 to 780 horsepower, the SM-79 could reach maximum speeds of about 430 kilometers per hour. Armed with 3 to 5 machine guns for defense and capable of carrying up to 150 kilograms of bombs, the SM-79 provided genuine medium bomber capability. Romanian SM-79 squadrons conducted bombing missions against Soviet targets during the invasion, attacking ports, airfields, troop concentrations, and infrastructure. The aircraft's 3-engine configuration provided good survivability, as it could return on 2 or even 1 engine if the others were damaged. However, the wooden construction and fabric covering required careful maintenance, and Italian ammunition and parts became scarce after Italy's 1943 surrender. Most Romanian SM-79s were withdrawn from service by 1944 due to attrition and maintenance problems. Junkers Ju-88. Germany supplied Romania with Junkers Ju-88A medium bombers, versatile aircraft that served effectively in multiple roles. Romania received approximately 20 to 40 Ju-88s in various subvariants. Powered by 2 Junkers Jumo 201 engines, each producing approximately 1,340 horsepower, the Ju-88A could reach the speeds of about 470 kilometers per hour with bomb load. Armed with multiple defensive machine guns and capable of carrying up to 3,600 kilograms of bombs, the Ju-88 was a genuinely capable medium bomber. Romanian Ju-88 squadrons conducted bombing missions against Soviet targets, including strategic bombing of ports, industrial facilities, and infrastructure. The aircraft's speed and defensive armament made it more survivable than older bombers, though Soviet fighters and anti-aircraft fire still inflicted losses. Some Ju-88s were converted for reconnaissance, using their speed to penetrate deep into Soviet territory for photographic missions. Maintenance of these sophisticated aircraft challenged Romanian ground crews, but the Ju-88's importance meant maximum effort was devoted to keeping them operational. After Romania switched sides, surviving Ju-88s were used against German forces or turned over to Soviet control. Heinkel He-111. Germany supplied Romania with Heinkel He-111 medium bombers, the Luftwaffe's standard bomber during the early war years. Romania received approximately 30 to 50 He-111H variants. Powered by two Junkers UMO-211 engines, the He-111 could reach maximum speeds around 440 kilometers per hour and carry up to 2,000 kilograms of bombs internally. Romanian He-111 squadrons conducted strategic and tactical bombing missions throughout the Eastern Front campaigns. The distinctive glazed nose provided excellent visibility for the bombardier, but was vulnerable to defensive fire. Romanian He-111s attacked Soviet cities, ports, airfields, and military installations, conducting both daylight and nocturnal missions. As Soviet air defenses improved, losses mounted, forcing Romanian bombers to operate primarily at night, where fighters posed less threat. After Romania switched sides, surviving He-111 saw limited service before being withdrawn. Dornier Do-17. Romania operated small numbers of German Dornier Do-17 medium bombers, obsolete aircraft that had served during the early war but were being phased out by 1941. Romania received approximately 10 to 20 Do-17NM and Do-17P variants, the former being bombers and the latter reconnaissance aircraft. Powered by two Brahmo 323 radial engines, each producing 1,000 horsepower, the Do-17NM could reach speeds around 425 kilometers per hour. The slim fuselage earned the nickname Flying Pencil, but limited internal bomb capacity to about 1,000 kilograms. Romanian Do-17s conducted reconnaissance and light bombing missions during the early invasion period before being withdrawn as more capable aircraft arrived. Most were relegated to training or scrapped by 1943. Dive bombers and ground attack aircraft. Junkers Ju-87 Stuka. Germany supplied Romania with the infamous Junkers Ju-87 Stuka dive bomber, one of World War II's most recognizable aircraft. Romania received approximately 100 to 120 Ju-87D variants between 1941 and 1943. The Stuka was powered by a Junkers UMO-211 engine producing 1,420 horsepower, giving it a maximum speed of only 410 kilometers per hour, slow and vulnerable by mid-war standards. The distinctive inverted gull wings, fixed landing gear with prominent fairings, and angular appearance made the Stuka immediately identifiable. Armed with two wing-mounted machine guns and one or two rear-firing machine guns, defensive armament was minimal. The Stuka's primary capability was precision dive bombing, achieved through dive brakes that controlled descent and automatic pull-out systems preventing pilot blackout. The aircraft could carry up to 1,800 kilograms of bombs, typically one large bomb under the fuselage and smaller bombs under the wings. Romanian Ju-87 squadrons provided close air support for Romanian ground forces throughout the Eastern Front campaigns. The accuracy achievable through dive bombing made Stukas effective against pinpoint targets like bunkers, bridges, and armor concentrations. Romanian Stuka pilots conducted thousands of sorties supporting ground operations from Ukraine to the Caucasus. However, the Stuka's slow speed made it vulnerable to fighters and anti-aircraft fire. Soviet fighters could easily intercept Stukas, and losses mounted as Soviet air power grew. By 1943, the Stuka was obsolete even for ground attack, and Romanian aircraft were increasingly relegated to night harassment missions where their vulnerability was reduced. After Romania switched sides, surviving Stukas attacked German positions, though by this point few remained operational. Henschel HS-129. Germany supplied Romania with a small number of Henschel HS-129 ground attack aircraft, specialized tank destroyers designed specifically for destroying armored vehicles. Romania received approximately 10 to 20 HS-129B variants. This twin-engine aircraft was powered by two Nomron 14RM radial engines, each producing 700 horsepower, giving modest performance with maximum speed around 410 kilometers per hour. The HS-129's heavily armored cockpit protected the pilot from ground fire, and the aircraft mounted devastating armament, including a 30mm cannon, machine guns, and underwing bombs or anti-tank cannon pods. Romanian HS-129s operated in the anti-armor role, attacking Soviet tank concentrations with their heavy guns. The aircraft proved effective when it could penetrate to targets, but weak engines, poor visibility, and vulnerability to fighters limited success. Most Romanian HS-129s were lost to combat or mechanical failure by late 1943. The aircraft of the Romanian Air Force during World War II tell a complex story of a medium-sized nation navigating the treacherous currents of global conflict while building and sustaining air power with limited resources. From the indigenous INR-80 fighter that demonstrated Romanian engineering capability to the German Messerschmitt Bf-109s that equipped elite squadrons, from Italian bombers to captured Soviet aircraft to the Soviet types received after switching sides, Romanian aviation employed an extraordinary variety of machines. The diversity of Romanian aircraft reflected the country's complex diplomatic position and procurement challenges. Indigenous designs like the IAR-80 showcased Romanian ambition and capability. German aircraft provided cutting-edge technology, Italian bombers supplemented striking power, and Soviet aircraft eventually replaced everything else. This diversity created enormous logistical and training challenges, yet Romanian airmen made it work through determination and adaptability. Romanian pilots demonstrated exceptional skill and courage throughout the war, flying both obsolete and modern aircraft, often outnumbered and outgunned. Romanian air crews achieved remarkable successes. The defense of Ploiești against American bombing raids saw Romanian pilots in IAR-80s and Bf-109Gs fighting desperately against overwhelming numbers, achieving kill ratios that surprised Allied intelligence. Romanian aces like Constantin Cantacuzino proved that skill could partially offset material disadvantages. The Romanian Air Force's combat record encompassed the full spectrum of air operations. Fighter pilots engaged in air superiority battles, bomber crews struck strategic and tactical targets, ground attack aircraft supported troops in contact, reconnaissance aircraft provided crucial intelligence, and transport aircraft maintained logistics. Romanian airmen participated in some of World War II's most intense air battles, from the skies over Stalingrad to the defense of Ploiești to the final campaigns against Germany. Romania's switch from Axis to Allied alignment in August 1944 created one of aviation history's more unusual transitions. Romanian pilots who had fought Soviet and American aircraft suddenly operated alongside former enemies against former allies. This rapid reversal, while politically complex, proceeded relatively smoothly in operational terms, with Romanian units integrating into Soviet command structures and receiving Soviet equipment. Today, few Romanian World War II aircraft survive. The IAR-80 fighters that defended Romanian skies, the Ju-87 Stukas that supported ground operations, and the diverse collection of other aircraft have mostly vanished to combat losses, post-war scrapping, and the passage of time. Surviving examples in museums stand as rare witnesses to a dramatic period in Romanian aviation history. The legacy of Romanian aircraft in World War II extends beyond the battles fought and victories achieved. It encompasses the courage of airmen who flew inferior aircraft against superior opponents, the ingenuity of engineers who designed effective aircraft despite industrial limitations, the skill of mechanics who maintained diverse fleets under impossible conditions, and the determination of a nation that refused to be overwhelmed despite facing enormous challenges. When we remember Romanian participation in World War II, we should remember the pilots who climbed into IAR-80 cockpits to face American bomber streams, the crews who flew Stukas through anti-aircraft fire, the transport pilots who evacuated wounded under fire, and all the Romanian airmen who served their nation through one of history's most turbulent periods. The aircraft they flew were more than machines. They were the instruments through which Romanian airmen experienced the war, and these aircraft deserve recognition as an important part of Romania's complex World War II legacy.